Right, what's up guys? It's another episode of whatever this is, these car talks. And I wanted to talk because I've got something new in the works, right? I was listening to something the other day and it was talking about this push and pull thing. It's a podcast with Alex Hormozi and Tony Robinson, one or the other. And I thought it was so interesting. They were talking about you have this initial push, right? And I can relate to this so much. And the push can be like, it's your anger, it's this motivation, it's this drive, and it's a fire. And that fucking works. That worked for me for so many years. I felt so pushed to do things in spite of, or almost to make a point. And it was such a driving factor. And I think the further I've got on in my career and the more successful by whatever measure you want to give to it, that I actually felt I was, the less potent the push was. And it's still there, don't be wrong. There are times where I'm driven by, I'm driven by anger, or I'm driven by emotion, or being sad, or whatever it is. Sometimes that makes me do huge scopes of work. Sometimes that makes me do really potent things for community. And sometimes it makes me just spend time grafting. But as my career's gone on, I think I missed pull. And it's been there, and it's always something that I talk about. And pull being the idea of towards something, like a calling of such. This thing that you're meant to do, and not necessarily to serve, but where my passion is. And I think I used to be so drawn to these ideas of like ikigai, right? Where passion meets your work. Or is that Kaizen? Maybe I'm getting it wrong. Over the last few days, being met with this, I've been doing some new stuff. And I've been really thinking, like, what's the pull towards? Where's the emotional connect? Like, what are the things that really sit with me? And there are moments that mean a lot. And you guys don't see it because I'm really not one to post those things, to celebrate those things. I don't post direct conversation. I think that's kind of gross. To any coach who sees this, who does do that? Well, you post screenshots of the chats that you have. And if you're my athletes, actually, I'd love you to do it. You are welcome to do it because that's really beautiful. That's very authentic. But I think it takes authenticity away if I do it because it feels like I'm doing it for marketing. And so I don't post those things. If you're a coach that does, I think you're a bit gross. My athletes, you are welcome to any great moments, celebrations. If it's check-ins, please do it. Like, you're more than welcome. I just don't want to ever seem more inauthentic. But I have those emotional connect moments to my guys doing well or feeling proud of themselves, and there are competition moments where those happen. I'd actually say it happens more often outside of training, outside of competition considerably. Like, there's a lot more in training, which is why I love training so much, and comp I'm not so drawn to. And the mentorship bits I'm doing of developing people's careers, I have a real passion for that, like a real love for seeing people do exceptional things. And I'm realizing that the pull is serving, but the pull that I have is giving people things that I didn't have. And I've always been aware of that, but I don't think I've done my best to serve that. I don't think I've done the above and beyond of being like, forget the business end for a minute. Like, if I just did everything I could to bring community to people, to bring powerlifting, and so moments of success and quantifiable measure that you know that you're on the right track, and moments of just sheer joy. What if I did all I could for that? What if it was just about only pursuing where I had emotional connect? Or at least putting like much more of my time into that, and less for growth for the sake of growth, like less for service. And I think there's a lot of time I spend doing things for other people that I don't necessarily enjoy. And there's a lot of time I spend doing things that is met with kind of a lack of gratitude. And that's not the reason I do anything, which is why I think so much of my time is spent that way. But I think the lack of gratitude means that I'm not always doing the right work, because I want to spend more of my time doing work where people appreciate it, not just the work itself, but the outcome of that work, right? So to give you an example, it's just something small, like my coaching service, I truly believe is phenomenal. I'm immensely proud of how that service works, but because that's the staple for a lot of people, and that they're used to it, they anticipate it, they don't always see that the reply time is normally me taking like every venture I can to make sure that I'm always on hand and I always look after my athletes. They won't see the extra amount of time spent just mulling over programming to get every single factor right, or if something doesn't go well, how much time will go into that. The evenings, literally taking my laptop at a social event to make sure I can sit down and work while everyone else is eating. Like, I never miss a beat. And that's not to say that work isn't phenomenal. I adore it. But what I mean is, I'm missing the opportunity to help the people who just don't have access. I'm missing the opportunity to serve the people who don't have a community. I'm missing the opportunity to serve the people who don't have a chance of a career right now. The people I'm working with expect it, as they should. That's the goal, right? That's how you develop the service, that's how you develop the business. But everyone else is missing out. And now I don't really have means yet to market what people are missing out on. Some people absolutely can afford that service and just don't recognize the difference between fucking what we're doing and what other coaches are doing, and that's fine. That will take time. But there are going to be people that I can't work with, not within the framework of what I do right now. And part of my brain before was going, well, I'll find a service potentially that suits them and that they can get in on, but I want them to have what these other guys can get. I want them to have a means of experiencing it, and maybe not all of it, and obviously to the extent of what the full paid service for my guys look like. And that's not just talking powerlifting coaching, I'm talking all of that, all of the community elements, the events, the experience. I want to bring community to the masses, and community is a word that is so misunderstood and short-lived in other realms, where it's like, oh, well, we had a meetup, so we know community, and you fucking don't. And you had a group chat where you threw a message in, and maybe someone else replied, and you're like, oh, this is our community chat. You don't have community. And community, as I spoke at length to my other coaches working within DBD, like, you do not systemize community that way. Community is chaos, only with a shared alignment of values and ethos of where they're directing themselves towards. But you can create the place for it, and you can draw the people to it, and you can get them to experience it, and you can create the means of them experiencing it, and then how that happens and how they experience it. That's the chaos, and that's fine. People do not know what they don't have, and I want to find a way to give it to them. And then I'll just be like, unequivocally, I think if you do anything incredibly well, you'll amount wealth. That just fucking happens. My intention forever was to be as good a coach as I possibly could. I'm very successful in that realm. That's phenomenal. My aim with the gym was to build as good a gym as possibly could. It's doing unbelievably fucking well. My aim with mentorship was to just make sure people could build careers, and I am severely underpaid for what I do with people, and they're building careers. Like, I absolutely adore that. And so I believe if I do this next thing to the absolute maximum of my capacity, it will still amount fucking money, fine, but I get to do the thing that I have a pull to. And I think I was losing the pull because the other things felt taken for granted, because they became just business. And it's a hard line, because I really can't express this enough. This is not me saying in any way, shape or form, I do not love my coaching. I fucking adore it. It is this is what I am here for. I'm here to lead beside people, help them grow. That I know that is what I'm supposed to do. And it's not always supposed to be like for my joy, but there is something for my joy, which is still helping people grow, that I'm missing out on. And I've just been sitting with this, and I've been spending time with this, and I've been working on a project for not last 20 hours. I've put 20 hours so far into a project that I'm like, this is a starting point. But there's bigger. And I think this is a lot of me, of what I want to do. But I think this is something that there are phases of, and I think it's important. There's a culture that's moved away from what my initial culture was, right? My early day culture was fucking hustle, grind. I do, like, you work till you fucking bleed. Like, it was the exceptional culture, and I still live by that culture. I believe if you want something, you fucking work for it, and your excuses mean just nothing to me. You can find means around many things, and you should make every single possible step you can towards those things. I think it's so important. But I also think when you've earned the position, when you have served the responsibility of what you are capable of, and so you serve that capacity, that you're then in a position to serve yourself and others. And I think I'm in that position. I think I'm in the position to do great things for so many people, that the things I love, because I love working. This is how I'd spend all of my days every day, around driven people who want to just do things, ambitious shit. I love it. But I'm realizing I want to do more of it for me. Quite hard to explain. So That's the next project. Talk very fast, you lose the oxygen that you want a lot, apparently so. That's what I want to work on next. And 2026, I think, is going to be evolutionary for me, like really developing an understanding of the position I'm in. And it's been so bizarre to be in this position for an extended period of time, because you end up in this cycle of loop of keep doing more, and keep trying to make sure you have more, but you have no time left, and you're serving so well, but I think there's more I can do, but more doesn't mean just giving more hours. So there's going to be a new phase, and I'm excited for that. I like the challenge of that. And the equivalent that I heard was someone saying, like, well, on that same podcast, like he donated $1 million to, I think it was homeless and so on. And he was being so honest, which I respect the shit out of going, I just felt $1 million poorer. I knew I did a good thing, but it didn't hit in the heart of this being something that I did because I am so drawn to that topic. He just did it for doing it for charity. And there's a lot of things I can do for good, but I want to do a thing that means the world to me, that I did that thing, that I want to do to serve. So it's still the benefit of everyone else, but that I get to really thoroughly enjoy. So I think this is going to be a good year. I think it's hard. January's been a fucking nightmare. I'm not going to pretend. I've struggled. Some of my business has been particularly difficult. Like, I'm more than happy to say that. December and January are really fucking hard for coaching businesses. Many people don't want to say this to you, like when they're actually struggling, because when they say they've got spaces available, blah, blah, blah. Coaches don't talk about those sort of things. But I'll tell you that December and January were not good months. But there is growth. There's growth already happening again, which is pretty predictable come February through March. But I think this is the year where it's a pick of direction and a real solidifying of how I want to spend my time, not just where I want to spend my time. And having that is such a privilege, but an earned privilege, where I am spending my time the way I wish, because I was putting myself in a position to spend my time the way I want. So yeah, I wanted to speak to it and be like, you can do things you love to serve, but you can serve in a way that you love. And I'm only starting to understand what that actually means. I'm gonna go work. I'll catch you later.